politics, most Americans consider our country's Congress broken. Former 9/11 Commission member Lee Hamilton, who now directs IU's Center on Congress, says too many of our lawmakers are concerned about sending a message instead of fixing our country's problems. One of the reasons for that, in his opinion, hyperpartisanship.
So the politician plays to their base of support, their base of support being more conservative and more liberal than was the case. And what is missing is the middle. In a sense, our political problem is what's happened to the middle of the political spectrum.
He is not sure exactly when it happened, but Lee Hamilton says the extreme ends of the political spectrum have grown far more vocal and competitive than ever before, fueling an extreme partisanship in our politics. Politicians often state their policy positions, feeling the glare of the far right or the far left over their shoulder, knowing they could face an unwanted primary challenge or even lose key funding if the line they toe isn't conservative enough or liberal enough.
I think we should be in a position where we don't worry about whether or not we get reelected. We worry about doing what's right for the country.
But is that where we are? I mean, I'm going to be honest. Looking at what happens in Washington now, it seems like the main goal of many of your colleagues is to send a message. It's not necessarily to pass bills and solve problems.
Well, and by doing that, nothing gets done.
The hardcore base, we're liberal and conservative, are ideologically driven, so that the Congress has become less focused on what do we have to do to make the country work and more focused on stating their ideological position.
Even the lawmakers themselves acknowledge that hyperpartisanship is a problem. Ironically, they just generally blame it on the other party.
Almost 45 times now, the House Republicans have voted to abolish Obamacare.
This president leads from behind. He doesn't engage. He is not a reach-out type of person.
This critical tone from members of both parties is more than just questionable manners. Lee Hamilton says when lawmakers show such personal animosity toward one another, it can wipe out the abilities to compromise and build consensus, which have always been key to passing complicated legislation aimed at tackling the tough problems.
Legislation is hard, tedious work, building that consensus. And it means you have to establish, among other things, a connection, friendship, maybe too strong a word, a connection with all kinds of people.
You have to, I think, it's almost like a family where you work together, you try to come up with the best ideas you can, but nobody in the family gets 100% of what they want. And so
the problem is you have a lot of people now who want 100% or nothing. Am I right?
Right, and what they'll get is nothing.
But Lee Hamilton thinks there's another reason for our broken Congress. He's just not sure our lawmakers work hard enough. More on that as we continue our series tomorrow night at 6.